Welcome to my June 2025 real estate market update. Now, there's a lot happening in the housing market right now, and the truth is we've got sellers that are stuck in the past, and we've got buyers that are watching mortgage rates and home prices very closely, just waiting for their moment. And to be honest with you, it's a question of who's going to blink first. And buyers are showing a lot of resilience and patience, I'll tell you that. Now in today's video, I'm going to break it all down for you. The first thing that we're going to do is cover some of the national trends, including why more sellers are having to adjust. And then I'm going to show you exactly what's happening right here in Frisco. I'll also include some of the local Prosper stats as well. And I'm going to explain what it all means if you're considering buying or selling a home in the months ahead. And make sure you stick around until the end, because I'm going to share with you which stat I am watching closely, as it's the one that provides the clearest picture of where the market might be heading next. So with that, let's dive into it. Hi, this is Andrew with the Andrew Smith team, eXp Realty here in Frisco, Texas. And as mentioned, the first thing that we're going to do is cover some of the national real estate trends, if you like. You're going to be hearing a lot of different things on the media, in the news, and I just want to go over those before diving into the local stats to kind of a background, a little bit of clarity and a foundation, if you like, because you'll see that not everything that you hear in the news is what we are experiencing here locally. And with that, let me share my screen. So I'm going to start here with this quote from Danielle Hale. She's the chief economist at Realtor.com, and as she notes, the number of homes for sale is rising in many markets, giving shoppers more choices than they've had in years. Sellers are becoming more flexible on pricing, underscored by the price reductions that we are seeing. And while higher mortgage rates are certainly weighing on demand, the silver lining is that the market is starting to rebalance. And I'm going to show you that in just a little bit. This could create opportunities for buyers that are prepared. But the interesting thing about that is there's still quite a big discrepancy, if you like, between what sellers think is going on in the market and what buyers realize is going on in the market. So you've got Elijah De La Campa. He's the senior economist at Redfin. And he notes, he goes that when buyers and sellers are on different planets, one side eventually has to give in. And it's looking like it's going to be sellers this time. Rising inventory price drops and seller concessions indicate that this is already starting to happen, and sale price growth will continue to slow as a result. You know, there was a recent survey by Realtor.com that really shows this very well. Let me move myself further out of the way here. They asked potential sellers about the market. They asked them, what do you think you're going to get in terms of your price? Here's the interesting thing. 80% felt that they were going to get their asking price or more. So you've got 80% of sellers out there that seem to think that they're not going to have to reduce the price, and they're not going to have to lower their price or come down off of that price at all. It just kind of, again, shows the difference between what sellers believe is happening and what buyers know is happening. And that is really showing up in terms of the sales data. This graph here is showing us what's happened to home sales annually going back to 2021. I know it's hard to read. I'm going to do my best to point it out here. But back in 2021, there were just over 6.5 million home sales nationally. And you can see that from 2022 on, it has fallen. Last year was one of the lowest years for home sales that we had seen in a long time. And the expectation was that 2025 was definitely going to be better. And it simply isn't. It hasn't happened. The market hasn't really picked up. As you can see on the far right side of the graph over here, you can see right here, we're running right now at a pace that's right at around 4 million sales. So we had 6.5 million sales back in 2021, and then we're tracking right at about 4 million sales now in 2025. But again, while these national numbers are great, and it's good to have an idea of where things are going, if you've seen my videos before, you often said that all real estate is local. What's going on a national perspective may not be what's happening in your county, your city, or even your neighborhood. And this last graph I'm going to show you here kind of illustrates that. So let me give you an idea of what we're looking at. This is showing where housing inventory is growing the fastest. The blue bars that you see here are year-over-year inventory growth. So right here, you've got 22.9% inventory growth in the Midwest, 19% in the Northeast, 33% nearly in the South, and 40.7% in the West. Now the green and the red bars show what the inventory or supply change is, if you like, since the pandemic. So if we go pre-pandemic, where were we? Because that's a measuring stick a lot of people have. Well, since COVID or before COVID, right? And they do that because that was kind of last normal market before the craziness that we experienced. So look at this. In the Midwest, inventory is still 41% lower than pre-pandemic. In the Northeast, 52.5%. No surprise that those are still the strongest markets in the country in terms of price growth and competition. But in the South, 3.6% more inventory, and in the West, 10.8% more inventory. So now that we've covered what's going on from a national perspective, I'm going to turn my attention right here to the local Frisco market and show you exactly what the latest stats are here. We're going to start in the actual MLS, and I'm going to show you the data that has just been released recently for the month of May. All right, first up here, this is the trends section of our local MLS, and you can see that I've got two bars here. So the blue one is Frisco, and the kind of colored one there is Prosper. I did want to show you both markets since these are the two markets I do the majority of my work in. So this is looking at single family homes, and it's looking at sales prices. So year over year, sales prices in Frisco for May were down 2.5%. For Prosper, they were down 7.3%. Now, again, it's like, oh, prices are falling, they're going to keep falling. Keep in mind that just because they're down for the month of May year over year is not an indication that prices are just in some sort of free fall. This is, if we were to draw a straight line through here and through here and look at the actual trend, again, I've been saying for a while, pricing is relatively flat. And it is. If we look at April's numbers, it was actually up month for the April year over year. The bottom line is this is going to bounce around month over month due to the fact of the number of properties and the type of properties changes. The important thing to look at, if we just look at the overall trend, you can see that it's not really going anywhere. The line is predominantly flat. Next up, I'm going to look at supply. Now, this is a big one. Right? If we look at supply, that's months of supply of inventory. We know that there's more homes for sale. We see it everywhere we go. Every neighborhood, there's more for sale signs than there has been. If you look at Frisco, inventory is up nearly 84% year over year. In Prosper, it's up 52.6%. So, 6 months generally been considered a balanced market, one that doesn't favor sellers, one that's fairly neutral. What are we seeing on pricing? It's fairly neutral. It's flat. That's reflective here in the inventory numbers. Now, it also shows where we're looking at in terms of sales. We can see that sales are also down in general, depending on what you're looking at. Frisco sales are down 9.9% year over year. Prosper's are actually up 34.2%. But again, note up here, I'm looking at all construction types, and there's a lot of new construction in Prosper right now. If we look at just the resale market, you can see that Frisco's down 14.4%. Prosper's up 36%. So Prosper did see a blip in activity compared to a year ago, but it has been running fairly flat. I was surprised to see this jump as much as it did, to be honest with you. Then the last one we're going to look at here is, whenever to sellers, There's always something that comes up. It's like, we have room for negotiation, or how big of a discount our home's selling for. So this is going to tell us that. So this is interesting. If I look at all construction types here, first thing that you're going to notice is homes in Frisco are selling at roughly a 1.7%. Let me rephrase that. Homes in Frisco are selling at about a 2.5% discount from their original list price. Homes in Prosper are selling at about a 4.2% discount from their original list price, which is down year over year. Let me say, again, construction type here matters. If we look at the resale market, homes in Frisco are selling within 2% of the original list price. Homes in Prosper are selling for within about 3% of original list price, assuming, every home's different, depends on that list price. If we look at new construction, on the other hand, this is why that overall, when we looked at all construction types, it's a little bit lower. You can see that Frisco new construction is selling at nearly a 5% discount, and Prosper new construction is selling at nearly a 10% discount. So home buyers, if you're looking for the best deal in Frisco or Prosper, where do you think you're going to find it right now? Absolutely, new construction, which is why I spend so much time bringing you quick move-in new construction homes, because they offer incredible opportunities. If you want more information on that, or if you're not familiar with that, first of all, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to this channel, and then in the description below, you're going to find a link to my calendar. I invite you to book a call. I offer everyone a free 30-minute consultation. We kind of go over what that you're looking for, and I work with you to put a game plan together. All right, so with that, I'm now going to turn my attention to my local market report, which is, I send these out to people each and every week. So again, if you've never seen this before, you can subscribe to this. You can get it specific to your city or your zip code, and it's going to show you exactly what stats and trends I watch the closest. So first and foremost, what I want to point out is this. The market action index. And you're like, what in the world is a market action index? Think of it as a speedometer on the market. It shows the balance between supply and demand. So for some perspective here, when our market was going nuts back in late 2020, 2021, this was pegged at 100. So again, the offers paying way over list price, very hard to get a home, lots of buyers, very little supply. That was a market running right at 100. Since then, it's been falling. Right now, we're at a 33. Last month, it was at a 35, which shows it's continuing to cool. 30 is considered completely neutral. If we go back to the inventory I showed you on the Frisco, or the stats from the MLS, nearly 6 months supply, which is what is generally considered balanced. 30 is what generally is considered balanced. Kind of gives you an idea of what we're looking at there. Now, if I scroll down, let's take a look at list prices, because as I said, there has been quite a discrepancy, or a difference between what buyers are seeing and what sellers are seeing. And you can see here that list prices are generally flat. Now, normally, if we go spring, we see a run up in pricing, peaks in the summer, drops off, run up in pricing in the spring. Look at this year. Really flat. We didn't have that big run up that we usually seeing, and it now is just continuing to be flat. I would not be surprised to see this trend down just a little bit going forward, as sellers start to align their prices with what buyers are expecting. All right, so if I look at the inventory here on this one, very, very similar to what we saw on the other one. You can see that inventory is way, way up. That's the increase in inventory that we have seen in a long time. But again, it's not necessarily because there's a ton of sellers coming to the market. As I showed you, sales are generally down. We were at 2.5 million sales a year nationally a few years ago. We're running right at about 4 million now. So part of the inventory going up is because buyers aren't buying. All right, so it's important to keep that in mind. But this, for a buyer, means that you have an incredible amount of choice in the marketplace right now. And if you're thinking of selling and you're a seller, you're going to have to price the home correctly and offer tremendous value in order to get buyers in the door. Now, the last stat I'm going to show you here is right at the beginning. I showed you that there is one stat I watch closely more than any other to give us insights into where the market is heading, and it's this one: properties with a price decrease. If a seller has their home on the market, especially if it's getting showings, but it's still not selling, it's an indication that the buyers aren't willing to pay that price for it. And it's a good indication that a price reduction is necessary. Right now, almost 50% of the homes are having to take a price cut before going under contract. This is a high number and it's climbing rapidly, right? It's not unprecedented. We've seen it before, as you can see, but this trend right here, the way it's moving, is one that we watch. If we start going way up into the high 50%, closer to 60% range, that is going to be your indicator that pricing is probably going to be declining in the months ahead. Right now, we're not out of a normal range historically, as you can see, but this is the absolute best stat to watch to get an idea on what the market is doing and where it is likely heading. So whether you're buying or selling, the market today requires a smart strategy, not just guesswork. If you're thinking of buying, as you've seen, more inventory equals more choice. There are incredible opportunities, especially with new construction. In addition to price discounts, the builders are offering some incredible financing incentives. And if you're thinking about selling, pricing strategy is key. Not only how the home is priced, but the condition that it's in and how it shows. You have to rise above your competition if you actually want to get your property under contract. So if you've got a specific situation or you'd like help understanding what all of this means for you, then I invite you to reach out. Go ahead and click and schedule your free consultation. I'd be more than happy to talk to you and help you put together a plan to suit your specific situation. And hopefully you found this information useful. If you have, go ahead, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel. I bring new and fresh content like this each and every week on the best opportunities, tips for buyers and sellers, as well as the latest market trends. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.